Good morning everybody, Monday of week 3. Hard to believe that we're in week 3 already, but here we are. In the comments, in the links that I've sent you, you should be able to find your brain buzz for the morning to warm your brain up and get used to all the mathematical vocabulary we're going to be using today. We only have 2.5 days. We finish on Wednesday for a half day for our Easter holidays, which is going to be a well-earned rest, although we will be in the house a little bit. Kind of like we have been, but we'll not have any schoolwork to do, which will be nice. So 2.5 days worth of work. Start with your brain buzz now, then we're going to take a look at squares in this first clip. Let's jump straight in. Right, so we have finished our work on weight. We're now going to look at another measure, and that is length. Now, our learning intention is at the top, which we're looking at length, and in particular, we're looking at scale within the topic of length. And we're introducing simple scales from centimetre to centimetre. So we're staying in the same measure, going from centimetres to centimetres. Now, what is scale? Scale is something that we can use to represent real life things on a smaller measure. It's handy whenever you're representing it in diagrams or drawings, and it's a real life skill. You might see this in architectural drawings, you might see it in map reading, and it's a very important skill to be able to understand. So let's take a look at what it means. Here I've drawn this lovely fish. Okay, and the scale of this fish is 1 centimetre to 5 centimetres. Now, what does this actually mean? It means for every 1 centimetre that I can measure this with a ruler from the tip here to the tip of its fin here, for every 1 centimetre I measure, it's worth 5 centimetres in real life. Now you can understand why this would be handy, because I couldn't draw this real life size. It would fill the whole page. So I can shrink it down but still represent it in real life using a scale. So let's see what this means. Let's move up a wee bit. So the fish on the drawing, you have to use your imagination that the fish in the drawing is 30 centimetres long. So this is 30 centimetres from here to here in the drawing. In real life, for every one of those centimetres, it'll be worth 5 centimetres in real life. So let's take a look at the actual size of the fish. So for every 1 centimetre on the diagram, it's going to be 5 centimetres in real life or actual life. So let's take a look. So the fish is 30 centimetres from its nose to its fin, and for every centimetre I've got to multiply it by 5 to get the real life length. So it's 30 centimetres times 5 centimetres. The real life size of this fish is 150 centimetres. Okay, now let's take a look at another example. Here you can see I've drawn a pretty cool car. Unfortunately, look at the wheels on it. Holy smokes, I didn't leave enough space for the wheels, so I've ended up with roller skate wheels on a car. But look at the proportions of this car from here to here. So the height of the car is 2 centimetres in my diagram. The width of the car, or the length of the car, is 6 centimetres in my diagram. Here's the important information, the scale. For every 1 centimetre in the diagram, that is actually 60 centimetres in real life. So we're making this much bigger. We're going to have to scale this up in real life. Why is it important? If you were the designer of this car and I asked you to build a car with really tiny wheels, and I give you this diagram, you would be able to know how big this car should be by using the scale. So you could recreate this in real life. Let's take a look at the true size of this car then overall. So for every centimetre that we have in the diagram, it's worth 60 centimetres in real life, and the length of the car is 6 centimetres. So it's 6 times 60 centimetres gives us the true length of 360 centimetres. The height is 2 centimetres. So for every centimetre, we're going to have to multiply it by 60, and we've got 2 centimetres in height, so it's 2 times 60, which gives us a real life height of 120 centimetres. Okay, so the scale is useful for representing things in a diagram and making it bigger and representing it in real life. Good luck. That's the knowledge you're going to need to use for your work today. And remember, all the measurements we're going to use are in centimetres today, before we move on to anything else. Okay, squares, that's you. You can go ahead and get started. Okay, triangles. Now, triangles, we have finished our brief topic on fractions, and we were looking at hundredths. we're going to take a look at another measure, which is weight. So today we're going to be looking at being able to use, this is your learning intention up here, using and reading scales. Okay, so here we have a scale going from 0 grams to 100 grams. Okay, and my first question is down here, how many divisions are there? How many little sections are there between the 0 and the 100 gram? Hopefully you have spotted that there are 10 sections, and if each of those are divided into 10, if it's divided into 10, each of those little sections must be worth, if you look from 0 to 100, they must be worth 10 grams each, because it goes from 0 grams up to 100 and there's 10 little divisions. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, so on. Okay, so first of all, when you're reading scales, you've got to understand what each of the little increments or each of the little marks mean and each of the bigger marks mean on the scale. Now, you can see then, we can point out other places on the scales now that we know how much each of the little increments are worth. We know that this one is 50 because we can count from 0 up in tens till we get to there. So let's try it. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We know this is 80 because halfway was 50, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, so you can, once you work out what each of the little increments are, you can work out all the other in-between measures as well. Let's look at a scale that starts at 300 grams and goes up to 400 grams. If it's between 300 and 400 and there are 10 little increments, have a look, there's our middle one. The middle one would be 350. Okay, so 310, 20, 30, 40, 50, as we thought. Take a look at these scales. This one goes from 300 to 400, but there's only one little increment in between. Then it goes from 400 to 500 with one little increment, and 500 to 600 with one little increment in between. So what would it be if the increment is halfway between 300 grams and 400 grams? Hopefully you have said 350. It marks the halfway point. So 300, 350, 400, 450, 500, 550, 600. So the finger is pointing at 550. Take a look at this scale. It goes from 700 all the way up to 800. So we know that from there to there is 100, but how much is each of the little increments worth? Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 increments in between there and there. So to get up here, there are 5 steps altogether. So 4, 5. So how much is each of those little increments worth? Hopefully you have said 20. The 100 divided by the 5 steps to get up here would mean that each of them are worth 20. Let's have a look. We'll start again. 700, 720, 740, 760, 780, 800. Now we know how much of each of the increments are. It's easy to point out what the finger's at. 760, 720, 740, 760. Have a look at this one. This time it's not written down as grams, it's written down as kilograms. But we can still predict all the little increments in between, because we know that from 0 kilograms to 1 kilogram, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to reach that one. Okay, it's literacy time. Now, like I said earlier, we only have 2.5 days of this week. So I thought of something interesting over the weekend that we could do. Really, we are living through a piece of history right now that nobody else has experienced. And I thought it would be kind of important to capture some of our memories and feelings and our thoughts about what's happening right now. It's very unusual times, but we're going to make the most of it because we might have to explain this when we're older to people who have never experienced it before. Do you know the way you ask your grannies or your granddads, what was it like back then? Sooner or later somebody's going to ask you a question about things that are happening now, so we are going to capture those memories and those thoughts. So, as you can see, we are going to capture some of our thoughts and feelings in this time capsule. This time capsule captures everything that's going on to remind you of what it was like as you get older and those memories start to fade. Because remember, you are living through history right now. So we're going to take a little time to fill in this sort of time capsule memory diary about all the things that we get up to. So first of all, we're going to capture things about ourselves, about our age when this happened, how tall you were, and some other important details. We're going to write about how we were feeling, and think about what you were thankful for, things you were excited to do when it was over, and what you've learned from the whole experience too. Also a little bit on your community and the things that you got up to when you were at home. You didn't just sit in the house. You know, when we were at home, we weren't stuck at home. We were staying safe, but what did you do to keep busy? Record your handprints and maybe some of the handprints of the people in your house. Record them in different colours. Now you can use this page over and over. Any special occasions or any special events that happened. I know we've been clapping for the NHS. That happens on a Thursday at 8 o'clock, so that might want to get put in there. Interview your parents, okay? How are they finding the homeschooling? Okay, what has been a challenge? What have they found easy? Write a little letter to yourself to remind you of what has been going on. What would you tell yourself maybe 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years from now? And if your mum and dad or whoever is at home has time, they can write you a little letter to pop into that time capsule as well. You will have great fun looking back at this in the next few years. And finally, it is our topic task. Now, over the weekend, my son has discovered Star Wars and has been watching quite a few movies to do with Star Wars. So I found 1 or 2 activities for him as well. And you need a printer for this one. But in the link, there are going to be different Star Wars characters for you to construct. So you need to be able to print them out, but they all make 3D stand-up models of the different Star Wars characters. Hopefully you could have a full collection by the time you're done. This is a lovely task. It does take a little bit of patience and you do need to fold carefully along the creases, but you should end up with some really cool Star Wars characters. If you don't like Star Wars, I'm sorry, this isn't really for you, but you do get to make some 3D shapes. Okay, have a lovely day and I'll see you all tomorrow.